What's all about? America was founded on linebackers.
It was. I think George Washington knew what to look for in a 3-4 prototypical linebacker build.
That's right. He donned the green dot, no doubt about it.
Yes, he donned the green dot, crossing the Delaware.
It's the IDP show, now you know.
Welcome to the IDP show. Josh Raymer here in the Sode Shack. It is the 4th of July here in the US of A, and we are celebrating our freedom as Americans by doing what else? Talking IDP fantasy football. And tonight, we are touching on your favorite topic. It is top 24 Dynasty Linebackers, joined by Adam Markham, Bobby Reynolds. As always, gentlemen, what better way to celebrate America and our great freedoms than talking about linebackers?
What's all about? America was founded on linebackers.
It was. I think George Washington knew what to look for in a 3-4 prototypical linebacker build.
That's right. He donned the green dot, no doubt about it.
Yes, he donned the green dot, crossing the Delaware. That was beautiful, Bobo. I love the infusion of history with IDP fantasy football. That's what they teach us in American schools, if you were wondering.
Yeah, that's a beautiful little intro to the show.
Yes, it is. And if you hear booms throughout the episode, we are literally recording here. It's 10:40 p.m. Central Time on the 4th of July, and there are fireworks being shot off all around my house right now. So, we went to bed early last night, just about to fall asleep. Fireworks start going off, and my favorite part is you're like, oh, thank God they're done. And then it goes about 2 minutes, and then they start booming again. It's just like they got to line up the next row, I guess.
You got to remember, we're in Kentucky, too, so a lot of rednecks. People really get into it around here. We got the 2 sound machines going in the baby's room tonight. So
we got
to prepare. The dog is he might be dead right now.
The dog is the Vietnam flashback meme right now for the dogs.
He's the one I feel worse for.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do to comfort them.
Yeah,
it's just this is
he doesn't have
Pearl
me there
Harbor
right
for
now,
them.
so he's on his own. So hope you're doing well, bud.
The worst part too is that it's gonna be this way for a couple of days.
Yeah,
you're gonna get the
all
BOGO, tomorrow, and then they're gonna be slashing prices on Saturday and Sunday.
This is going through Sunday. No
absolutely, yes, absolutely. Through the weekend, I did see a tweet. I don't know if it was legit, but it was an old tweet of someone who had a picture of the back of a U-Haul van or some sort of moving van loaded with fireworks, and it said, Jason Pierre-Paul, my neighbor, just bought this van full of fireworks to his house, and I'm worried for the safety of our neighborhood. I was like, was this like the moments before, danger kind of thing, or it's like this was when Jason Pierre-Paul had all 10 of his fingers?
That's right. That's a nice throwback, man.
Dude,
yeah.
Been
a while.
You got to know that the emergency room departments around the country are just bracing for impact tonight.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
They got their best
Fingers
people
lost.
to help stitch up some hand wounds.
Yeah.
Some missing fingers.
I saw the meme where it was like a heaven shot with all the fingers.
Join us. And there's a finger walking up the pearly gates. So welcome in to Top 24 Dynasty Linebackers. It is a beautiful day. We've all got on our red, white, and blue to celebrate America and to celebrate Dynasty Linebackers. So thank you all for the love that you showed the first installment. If you haven't listened or watched that episode yet, we did the top 48. So this is part 2. Part 1 was 48 to 25, and tonight we will be going 24 to 21 with another linebacker thrown in who was in the top 24. Addie's a madman. He's always updating the ranks. $5 a month at theidpshow.com. Got bumped into that back half of the top 48. So we're going to talk about him here. He is sitting at number 27. So a bonus linebacker thrown in because we love you all. But gentlemen, we've got a lot to get through tonight. So what we're going to do is go through and just kind of touch on some of these guys. We'll do them in like 5 or 6 player chunks in order to kind of make the episode flow a little better. And whoever you guys want to talk about from that chunk of 5 or 6 that we talk about, we can do it. But let's kick things off with the player we mentioned at 27. He was sitting at 24 when we did part 1, and he's since been bumped to 27. It is Big Bob Spillane, Las Vegas Raiders, 28.6 years old, 2023 points per game, 14.5 points per game. Big Bob Spillane was balling out last season. And now jumping into the top 24, Blake Cashman, now of the Minnesota Vikings, 28.2 years old, 23 points per game, 13.2. TJ Edwards sitting at number 23. He was LB6 last season, 27.8 years old, 15.9 points per game. Edgerrin Cooper sitting at 22. The rookie is 22.6 years old. And then Tremaine Edmunds sitting at number 21. He is 26.2. Still feels like Tremaine Edmunds should be 19 years old since we joked about that forever, but he is now 26.2. Finished as linebacker 25, 13.7 points per game in 2023. So, gentlemen, we have the first few here from the list, plus Big Bob Spillane thrown in at 27. Addy, who do you want to kick things off with tonight?
Let's talk about Mr. Blake Cashman.
Okay.
What do you boys think about him?
I thought it was interesting. So now in the updated ranks, you have Ivan Pace Jr. at 25 and Blake Cashman at 24. So I'm a fan. I just wonder, this is Dynasty, so it's a little bit different than solely a 2024 outlook. I just wonder, what's that split going to shake out like? Who's going to be the green dot? What are the snaps going to look like? But I've been drafting some Blake Cashman in these best ball drafts, and I think 13.2 points per game last season. I'm not going to get out over my skis for this guy, but I like him.
Yeah, and also last year was really his best season from a PFF standpoint, like by far. He was in like the 80s, I believe. And yeah, I mean the snaps
83.7.
And then the snaps we have like 650?
657, so it was 71% of snaps.
Yeah, and that was his most snaps he's ever played in a season. So we really haven't had a big sample size of Blake Cashman yet. But I like the fact that Minnesota, went out and got this guy, gave him some nice money. And you are right about the personnel stuff. Like, it is going to be interesting to see how the usage shakes out because all those safeties are back. Metellus, Harrison Smith, Cameron Bynum, all those guys are back. And then I imagine Ivan Pace is still going to get a healthy, snap share. So, yeah, we'll see how it all goes. But I do think Cashman is going to be a guy that plays at least 85% of the snaps. And so with that type of snap share, I think he can be extremely productive and be like a linebacker 12 to 15 type.
Yeah, I mean, both Ivan Pace and Jordan Hicks were relevant last year for IDP, so I don't see a big reason why Blake Cashman can't be productive and Ivan Pace as well. So
and Cashman's 28, so I mean I think he still has a good 3 to 4 years of being a nice little asset for you in Dynasty. So I feel good about Cashman.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many linebackers, because you think Dynasty linebackers, top 24, is going to be kind of sexy and young and first and second year players. How many guys under the age of 24 do you think are on this list?
Not a lot. I'd say we got maybe 5 or 6.
I think it was 3 when I counted. So, because you think 24, that's probably second or, first or second year players. And I think it was the 2 rookies and maybe 4. It may have been Jack Campbell, the 2 rookies, and then Christian Harris.
Interesting.
So it's, I think, a good lesson to not get super, like I said, out in front of this with these rookies, because you're seeing it here. A lot of these top 24 Dynasty linebackers are creeping up 26, 27, 28. So don't be afraid of these guys, too, when they get, a little long in the tooth, at least for NFL purposes.
Yeah, right. I think it's definitely risky investing in these young linebackers because it's a hard position. I mean, it's you never really know how it's going to shake out. So I don't like to invest too much in those guys. So I mean, yeah, that makes sense why there's not a lot of young guys on this list.
Yeah. So
we want to see we want to see these guys.
Well, we
want to see them perform well and do it for a few years.
And a lot of young linebackers wash out and don't really latch on like we had hoped. Like I'm looking here at, Mike just wrote an article for the website Keep Trade Cut for the June ADP update, and Jamin Davis was the cut. And it's like, man, remember the high hopes we had for Jamin Davis? Right. And now he's essentially just an afterthought there in Washington. Mm-hmm. So, Bobo.
You just got to hope he lands somewhere else, right?
Yes, he gets a second chance, kind of like a Dayon Henley if it doesn't work out in LA.
And that can happen with these linebackers.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the same thing we're seeing with Spillane, Blake Cashman. I'm sure there's other ones that I could say. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time.
Yes. So, Bobo, we kick things off with Blake Cashman. Where do you want to go next?
Well, I was sticking with Cashman because I wanted to go back and actually look at Ivan Pace's snap count last year. So Cashman played 655 snaps down there in Houston. Ivan Pace in Minnesota last year played 704 snaps for the Vikings. I don't know. If you were to tell me which linebacker plays more snaps for the Vikings in 2024,
It's a good question, man.
Ah, man,
I
that's
don't
a
know how
coin
to answer
flip.
that.
It's tough. And you got Metellus playing a ton of box snaps too.
it makes me want to say probably Pace, just because he's been there longer.
But they have Pace and they bring in Cashman.
Yeah, that's
So it's
exactly
like,
right.
I don't know what to think. Just like, do you give the nod to the incumbent because he knows the defense and has called plays in the defense? Or do you look at, well, they went and got a linebacker that has some pedigree to come in there alongside him?
Yeah. It's tough.
I
That's
think
tough.
they'll both be fine.
I think so,
they'll
too.
both be productive.
Yeah, I think they're both going to get some run.
Both of them, I feel like, should get 70% of the snaps.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
who's going to get the most of the two? I feel like it's Cashman, but maybe that changes week to week. You know, but I think if you look at the end of last year for the Vikings, I think Jordan Hicks and Ivan Pace both had a pretty healthy snap share, and all those safeties were also out there doing their thing. So I think that world can exist this
And
next season.
I think we have to also invite the possibility that defensive coordinators can change what they do if they get different personnel.
Exactly
That's
right.
what good defensive coordinators should do.
Right, and this Minnesota defense is a lot of fun now.
It's really good, man.
From an IDP perspective, the Vikings might have had the best safety core in the league last year from a points per game perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Metellus
I think-
was insane. Harrison Smith was good. Jordan Hicks
Cameron Bynum was really, really
Oh,
good
yeah,
to start
Bynum
the
was
year.
really good.
You know, he cooled off. But,
Jordan Hicks last year, 813 snaps.
and he got banged up too. So, I mean,
Yeah.
he was on pace for, I think he played like over 90%. I don't
Yeah.
have the number.
I
but-
don't have it either.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Speaking of guys that just kind of stinky but startable, Big Bob Spillane, just to give him some flowers for a second.
Yeah.
One of the best values in these drafts right now. Finished as LB12 by Big Three scoring last year, going as LB23 right now.
Yeah, he
People
was awesome.
don't want a top 12 linebacker, I guess.
Yeah.
There's just so many good ones, you know. It's tough.
15.95 points per game the last 8 weeks, the weeks 10 through 18 of the season, and 97% of snaps. He played 1,101 snaps on the season.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and
Big
he's-
Bob Spillane was great.
Yeah, and it's still going to be him. I
Yep.
mean, it's, Devon Diablo and the rookie Tommy Eichenberg that they drafted in the 5th round. So, yeah, Spillane is gonna be the man again next year. He's going to put up good stats. I imagine they're going to extend him. If they don't, someone else is definitely
That's what
going
we've
to.
talked about. Does he price himself out of the Raiders' price range potentially if he goes out and balls out again?
But who cares? Either way, he's going to land somewhere with a starting gig, right?
I think it could be even better for IDP managers if he prices himself out of Las Vegas and go gets a Patrick Queen type of bag somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know that it'll be quite to that level, but never know, man.
You never know. Yeah, he feels more of like a 3-year, like $24 million type. you
Kind
know?
of like maybe what Caden Ellis got, right?
Yeah. So
which I think was like 3 years, 21, 22 million, something like
which
that.
is solid. I mean, that's
great money.
And that gives us like a 3-4 year window with him for IDP, and maybe potentially longer. Like these guys they age well and all that stuff.
So we have a couple of Bears linebackers wrapped around the rookies. We've talked a lot about this rookie class. So I'll just ask you boys, which Bears linebacker do you want for Dynasty? Tremaine Edmunds, who again, 26.2 years old, or TJ Edwards, 27.8 years old. TJ Edwards was LB6 last year, and Tremaine Edmunds was LB25. So, Bobo, who you want for Dynasty?
TJ Edwards.
Okay.
The points per game is hilarious. When you look at how TJ Edwards is still like really not properly valued, I don't feel like. Finished as the LB6. What's his ADP in best balls right now?
Who's that, Edmunds? Or
TJ Edwards.
TJ Edwards is sitting as LB8 right now.
That's fair.
That's fine. That's okay. But I mean, like 15.9 points per game in 2023. Again, the IDPshow.com. And not to spill too many beans here on the guys that we're going to
Spill
talk
'em,
about.
spill 'em,
But
baby.
Ernest Jones, 16.6 points per game in 2023. Bobby Okereke, 17.2. Zaire Franklin, 15.2. Terrel Bernard, 16.5. So, again, some guys that we'll talk about. But as far as, like, elite points per game in 2023, TJ Edwards was right up there at the top of the linebackers when it comes to production for our IDP teams. And you know, TJ Edwards, I wanted to look up actually his contract there with the Bears. Contracted through 2025 and will probably get another bag. You know, I just feel like I've never loved Tremaine Edmunds. I've always felt like, well, you know, he's getting some decent points and everything. He just never felt like he put it all together. Meanwhile, TJ Edwards is over there just, I feel like, still being undervalued.
He's still undervalued. I will say Tremaine Edmunds finished the season stronger than TJ Edwards did. 15.62 points per game, weeks 10 through 18. So,
Yeah.
I think they're both really solid dynasty, stashes for your squads. But yeah, I think I'm with Bobo. I think I would just take TJ Edwards.
Yeah, just because, I mean, TJ Edwards is proven to be like an elite linebacker.
Yes.
The worry with Edwards is like, how long is it going to last, right? I know the PFF grades have been great. I mean, 79.6 last season, 84.8 the year before, 76.3 in 2021, 66.5 in 2020, 86.6 in 2019, but that was on 112 snaps. But really, really good stuff. You do wonder, like, are his assignments that hard? You know, is he being asked to do a lot of coverage? I mean, that could explain the really good grades. Kind of like what we see with Tyrel Dotson, I think. But yeah, I mean, there's no doubt the dude has been super, super productive. But again, speaking to like the security long term, I mean, why did he only get 3 years, $19.5 million?
Yeah.
You know, it's just odd.
Yeah.
I know he's outperformed that from a production standpoint.
Yeah.
But I mean,
And meanwhile, you've got Tremaine Edmunds on a 4-year, $72 million deal.
You know,
just crazy. Both of them signed at the same exact time.
I know.
Just odd.
the other funny thing is Tremaine Edmunds is going into, this will be his 7th year in the NFL. He's 26.2 years old. Meanwhile, TJ Edwards entering his 6th year in the NFL at 27.8 years old.
It helps when you come in the league at, like, I think 19 years old, didn't he?
Yeah.
Tremaine Edmunds. So, yeah, I think Tremaine Edmunds had that one pop-up year in 2022 where he jumped up to a 79 overall grade, but otherwise it's been 57, 60, 47, 50, 56.
Yeah.
So he's just a mid-tier linebacker in terms of, like, quality of play. But I do like the fact that he produced better down the stretch.
Who you taking in Dynasty?
I have them both right here together. I mean, I have Edwards 23 and I have Edmunds 21. And I think that's just really
Age.
because of the age
Yeah.
and because of the contract
Yeah.
and all that stuff. I know that PFF stuff isn't good though. Yeah, I mean 56.6 last season.
Yeah.
It's not awful. It's just
It's fine.
middling.
It's fine.
It's just, middle of the road. It's mediocre.
Yeah.
I will say
they paid him a ton of money, so I mean he should be there next season. But I also did see a lot of like grumblings from Bears fans, like
Not grumblings.
during games about Tremaine Edmunds about not being a fan of him and stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. But it's funny that you are somehow getting a little bit of a discount on TJ Edwards, LB6 going as LB8, and you're not getting any sort of discount on, you're actually paying more of a premium for Tremaine Edmunds, who finished as LB25 going as LB22.
Yeah.
So as far as like 2024 outlook, the market is, I think, overvaluing Edmunds relative to his production.
Now I do have 0 Tremaine Edmunds.
Yeah, I don't think I have any
this
Tremaine
offseason.
Edmunds.
I don't think I have any TJ Edwards either.
I think they're going in that range where I'm typically looking D-line.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean he's probably going like early third, I'd say, which is
That's okay.
I need to maybe rethink grabbing him if he's available there, because that's not bad at all.
Harms is making a note in his sheets.
I know.
Harms,
all
man.
of our,
Harms,
all
stop
of our
listening
free-
to our show, dude. Please, just stop listening.
Next week, the launch of IDP drafts with Eric Harms, David Kelly, and Evan Ringler. Make sure you tune in. We'll be doing
Listen to that stuff, but Harms,
Yeah.
you check out of this show.
Check out.
No more.
Just no more for you. Let's see where Edwards is going. He is post-draft ADP of 23, so he's a back-end second-round pick right now. He is overall 27.1, So that's like 3 picks into the 3rd round.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
So especially if you go DL early, which this is saying basically you're taking a DL, one of the top 5 defensive linemen probably, and then Edwards on the way back to end your 2nd round. So you're like a TJ Watt or Max Crosby and a TJ Edwards. So if you go double TJ, little TJ Watt,
cool.
TJ Edwards, little TJ stack.
Cool.
I don't know about that. I don't like that.
Bobo's out. It's over.
I like that. It's
over.
I do think that Macri was onto this a little bit early last year. I remember like pretty early on after the move, TJ Edwards was maybe a 1st-round pick for Macri in some of the best balls.
He took him in 112.
Like,
yeah. Okay.
Worked out fine.
We're paying attention. We're paying attention.
I'm always watching Macri.
Go to the next little bunch here because it's this top 24 is an interesting group of names, and I think we have a lot to chew on here. Jordyn Brooks sitting at number 20, Miami Dolphins, 26.7 years old, finished 2023 as the LB24, 13 points per game, going as LB21 right now. Devin Lloyd, number 19, Jacksonville Jaguars, 25.8 years old. I forget that he came into the league old. So I'm like, how's Devin Lloyd already that old after 2 seasons?
Yeah.
But he finished as LB36, 12 points per game, going as LB24. Christian Harris at 18, Houston Texans, 23.5. There's one of the guys I mentioned, under 24. He was LB 39, 2023 points per game, 11.7. But listen to the splits, 7.92 weeks 1 through 9, and weeks 10 through 18, he was 14.2 points per game, going as LB 27. And then let's stop here with LB 17, Logan Wilson, Cincinnati Bengals, 28 years old. LB 13 last year, 14.4 points per game, going as the LB 14. So being drafted right around where he finished. So, Addy, where do you want to kick off the discussion of this group?
Let's start with Logan Wilson.
Okay.
Fresh on the mind. He's been awesome. You know, there was a time where I wasn't a fan. He was a little inconsistent, but got to give this dude his credit, man. He's been very good and reliable, you know, and that's really what you're looking for at linebacker. So still just 28 years of age. I feel like he's going to be one of these guys that, you know, we're going to be still talking about him when he's 33, 34. So, yeah, big fan of him. He got it really he could have gotten more money, I think. 4 years, $36 million. They got a little bargain out of him in Cincinnati. So PFF numbers have always been pretty solid. But, yeah, he's a good player. Good leader type.
8.8 RAS is higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
8.88, actually. So I just don't think of Logan Wilson as like this elite athlete. But, yeah, 28 years old. I agree. 98% of snaps last year, Bobo. It feels like Logan Wilson's on that Levante David, Bobby Wagner kind of trajectory where he's going to be around. We're going to be talking about him probably in 2029 if we're still doing this show.
Yeah, low-key sneaky old, 28 years old. Yeah, we'll be long gone. I don't have a lot of Logan Wilson. To be honest with you, I don't have a whole lot of any of these guys right here. Dynasty, best ball, anything. It just feels like I kind of go back to Devin Lloyd here as, you know, I've had him on a couple rosters and I've traded him just because I've kind of been scared. And to be honest with you, I'm still scared because Foye is just so freaking good. I just don't know that we're ever going to see much from Devin Lloyd until maybe that rookie deal runs out. You know, rookie deal, he's a UFA in 2027. So I don't know. I mean, how high can Devin Lloyd really get alongside Foye there in Jacksonville?
Foye takes up a lot of oxygen there in that linebacking room. So I think he's just kind of handcuffed as a LB2. I think that's his ceiling. I don't think he can crack that top 12.
Yeah,
just with Foye there.
And there's just that worry that like anything he does, like anytime he messes up, you got Chad Muma right behind you.
Yep.
You know, and
I will say
fans always love that. You know that guy on the bench. You know.
Yeah, he was better last year by PFF. His grades across the board dramatically improved, and he played 97% of snaps.
Yeah.
So I think
see that.
He is being a little bit overdrafted right now from where he finished, which was LB 36. He's being taken as LB 24.
Yeah,
so I'm probably not going to be in on that price.
People love Lloyd, man.
Yeah, they do. First round pick.
Yeah,
you know, awesome athlete as well. What was the RAS on him?
9.56.
Yeah, and he was insanely productive in college. So, yeah, I mean, that's stuff, that carries weight. This guy right here still loves old Isaiah Simmons,
Hey, you're going to die on that roster.
He's going to die, all right. Yeah.
But it's true, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that, you get attached to these guys early in the process. And there was a lot of people attached to Devin Lloyd. I was attached to Devin Lloyd for a second there, and then I got out.
Sobered up.
I was looking at some newbies dynasty rosters in some of the leagues that we've had some little orphan squads and we've had some new people take over. And it's pretty interesting to see some of the names. They get in sleeper and they kind of want to start moving people around. They go throw the people in their starting lineup. It's just funny to see a lot of Chase Youngs. You're seeing a lot of Devin Lloyds. You're seeing a lot of Isaiah Simmons. You're seeing a lot of the big names that we just can't quite get away from, and it might be because they're a first-round draft capital and everything, but it's just ironic to me that the first-round draft capital just really it resonates for people for a long time, and probably does these GMs too. They're like, man,
yes,
we
absolutely.
could get a guy like Isaiah Simmons for 1 year for whatever he got.
We can fix him.
Yeah, absolutely.
We know something the other 4 coaching staffs did not know.
We can't move on without talking about Jordyn Brooks just because there's so much anonymity with the Miami Dolphins this year. Now, new defensive coordinator there. They sent Fangio to
the Eagles.
Yep.
Jerome Baker's out of there.
Jerome Baker's in Seattle. Jordyn Brooks is going to be the LB1 there, presumably, in Miami.
The LB2 conversation's interesting there.
It is.
Like, no one's drafting that LB2 in these best balls. Maybe David Long's getting drafted late. But
David Long's getting a few.
Very late. I was going to say Channing Tindall's
gone.
He's dead.
Dead and buried.
But then you got Duke Riley there still, right?
Yeah.
He had a little moment at the end of the season.
I was just going to point out Devin Lloyd is the 9th pick of the 5th round. He's sitting at 69 overall. So that's just a little rich. I don't know that I want to go Devin Lloyd there, but let's see where David Long is. He is LB 65, 183.7 post-draft ADP. So that's very, very late. And I don't know. Let's see. So he's LB 65. Let's see where Duke Riley is. He's not even in the ADP.
Yeah, I don't think he's been drafted.
He's not even in the ADP. And I doubt Channing Tindall is in there either. Yeah, he's LB 122.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there could be some real money in that
seriously,
second linebacker.
if you could figure out, I mean, maybe David Long's a decent little grab late in drafts, because what if Jordyn Brooks goes down? Who's it going to be? Who's going to step up?
Can I pat on me and Adams back for a minute?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to go back. I wrote this article this time last year. Who could be the 2023 Frankie Luvu? I hear the groans already. I'm plugging my ears. This selection is an ode to my favorite IDP analyst, Adam Markham, who mentioned that Van Ginkel might have a bigger opportunity in 2023. Multiple reports have said that new DC Vic Fangio has moved Van Ginkel to inside linebacker in OTAs, and I don't hate it. Van Ginkel didn't play a lot in 22, but he did put up a PFF run grade of 83.5. It goes on to talk about Jerome Baker and whatnot, but AVG was great last year, man, and he's going to be good in freaking Minnesota as well. I don't know. Something about you saying the second linebacker in Miami made me think, I remember Adam talking about Van Ginkel a little bit.
I remember getting a little roasted about that.
Oh, yeah. That was the kind of a little.
It's just the hair. He's white.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
But you know what that sounds like this year? Sounds like some Zach Bond.
Sure it does.
Some Zach Bond.
Sure
Interesting.
It does.
Wow.
It's
crazy.
It's getting a little loud.
It's crazy. But
I don't like it.
We'll see what it looks like in training camp. If it continues in training camp.
But you like any of those linebackers?
No, that's I've said before. That is a room that I am fine just to totally avoid.
Who's the DC there?
So why not just throw a little? Speaking of late linebackers, why not throw a little dart at some Zach Bond?
Yeah, I was gonna say what is Bond going as? I bet he's had a nice little bump,
little
tick
up, I'm
draft.
sure.
Because low key, this is probably only like his.
He's fallen. He's fallen in the post-draft ADP. He went from 285 to 343.
Wow.
So basically, I think that's essentially undrafted.
What year is this in the league for him? Not many. This is his 5th year.
Who, Zach Bond?
Yes. He'll be
fourth or 5th year?
Yes, this is his 5th season.
Okay.
27 years old.
We see this all the time, though.
Oh,
These guys that everyone roast.
Yeah.
Anzalone was one of them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then
Cashman
here they are.
kinda
Here they are just having the last laugh.
Yeah.
Having the last
And
laugh.
if you rode with them,
Yeah.
you've been
Yeah.
cashing in with them.
Yep.
You know, Anzalone was a baller last year.
Shoot, yeah.
Van Ginkel was a baller last year.
Yep.
Like,
Are
okay,
you talking about the Gink right now?
he was awesome. Got to give him credit, man.
He was better than AVG.
He was someone that I picked up. I made a nice little playoff run off of Van Ginkel there. At the end. You know, I lost Jalen Phillips.
He was
It was okay. I was like, oh,
Kyle Van
That's
Noy
right,
was
AVG.
great last year.
That's right, AVG and Cal Van Noy, baby.
truly.
That's right with
Truly.
the Van Bros, the Van Noys and the Van Ginks.
Yeah, man. You can do it.
You can
Van
do a
guy.
Van
That's
stack.
the beauty of IDP.
Yeah.
You can have a
It really
T
is.
stack and a Van stack.
And it's why, like, we don't have a lot of these guys on this, like, this
Yeah.
episode. Like, all these guys we're talking about, we don't have a lot of these guys.
Because you're getting teed up for disappointment.
Yes.
Especially here in this, like, 11 to 20 range. Foye is not going to let you down. Devin Lloyd could probably let you down.
And even if it does work out eventually, you're gonna have some dips.
Exactly.
Like, it's gonna be
Exactly.
a rocky little road to it.
And the profit in IDP is where you go and sell a guy like Devin Lloyd, and then you go and bring in a guy like, you know, I don't want to say Zach Bond. That's way too far
That's
down.
way too
That's
far.
That is
way
too
too
far.
far.
Well,
Well,
Too
we do.
deep.
We have a great article coming
32
out on
teams.
Monday looking at Tyrell Dodson and Jerome Baker. There's still outrageously good values right
Yeah.
now. Both of them in the LB 50s, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, you don't have to pay sticker price. You can go get Kaiser White or
Yeah.
Tyrell Dodson
So
or
there's a
Jerome
good one.
Baker.
Everyone just wants to build
Jordyn
the
Hicks.
sexiest room, though.
Yeah, trade-
Oh, it's so cool to just look at your roster.
Trade Devin Lloyd for Kaiser in a third. Mm-hmm. You know?
Then go get you one of those elite edge rushers in the 3rd round next year.
Sure.
So let's
No one with the brain is doing that.
Nope.
No one that listens to us.
well, you might be able to find some brain dead folks out there, and we know a few in our leagues. True. So, but I don't think they listen to us. I think that's
They
the problem.
certainly don't.
So I want to put a pin in Christian Harris and just come back to him when we talk about Azeez Al-Shaair, kind of in the Houston Texans linebacker discussion. But let's roll forward to number 16 here on the list is Quincy Williams, New York Jets, 27.9 years old, finished 2023 as the LB5, 16.1 points per game, going as the LB10. So there's a nice little discount for you. Junior Colson is LB15, Los Angeles Chargers, 21.6 years old. Quay Walker is at 14. He is 24.2, finished as LB30, 13.6 points per game, going as the LB12. So that is quite a jump from where he finished. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah finished as LB15, 15.1 points per game. Again, I've cited it many times this offseason, 19.63 points per game, weeks 10 through 18, going as the LB18. And let's pause here at Terrel Bernard at number 12. Buffalo Bills, 25.2 years old, finished as LB3, 16.5 points per game, going as LB13. Addy, why don't people want Terrel Bernard in these best ball drafts for 2024? What am I missing with this guy?
They just want to see it. You know, we want to see it for a few years. He did get there off a lot of interceptions too. So I think he had like 6 interceptions. That's a concern. You know,
3.
Yeah.
6.5 sacks.
6.5 sacks.
There it is.
3 INTs, 10 TFLs.
Big plays.
So the big plays were there.
That's excessive. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, so you could expect the sack numbers to come down, and even the INTs. Maybe that stays the same. But I don't think he repeats at 6.5 sacks. So I'd expect more in like the 2 to 3 range, you know, for sacks. Yeah. But
999 snaps. Just get one more snap.
But
get one more snap, Terrell.
I like Terrell Bernard, man. I think he's actually good. Like I think that he's a guy that will be there in Buffalo for a while, and I mean I think he's going to be the new linebacker you want there. I think Milano, you know, we'll see what type of player he is, you know, after this injury. And remember, he's had a lot of injuries in his career.
Yep.
So
Very handsome, but very injured.
He's hot. I mean, he's hot. But yeah, he's getting up there in age, and that's going to make him hotter too. So
Yeah.
Thinking a little bit of gray in the hair.
Yeah.
A little bit of a silver fox thing going on.
Yes.
So post-draft, Terrell Bernard is going as the 3rd pick in the 4th round.
that's good. I like that.
so-
I like those linebackers in that range. I love Terrell Bernard.
I'll give you that
Alex
range.
Singleton is I'll get him in that range with the way I'll be drafting him going forward.
Yeah, so he's sitting as LB12, Bernard is, and you have like Bobby Wagner, Terrell Bernard, Logan Wilson, Quay Walker, Frankie Luvu, Azeez Al-Shaair.
Yeah.
That's a nice range.
That's great.
Alex Singleton after that, Levante David.
I love that. Yeah.
So I'm going to be having some Terrel Bernard as well. I know some folks, I get the hesitation with just wanting to see it. I'm willing to be overweight on this guy if other folks are wanting to shy away a little bit.
Because he's going to do well next season.
Yes, I think he's going to be their LB1 far and away. I
No
think
doubt.
Milano's going to be the LB2. I think that's been pretty well secured, and I think they're going to need Terrel Bernard because this defense has been gutted.
Yeah.
They had a mass exodus of talent on both sides of the ball just for salary cap reasons, so a lot of young guys are going to have to step up for that
But
squad.
they had a massive influx of talent, too, at safety.
Did they now?
Cole Bishop,
Ever heard of him?
Taylor Rapp, too. Remember him?
Taylor Rapp, yes. Bobo
It's a wrap.
knows.
We had, remember that? We did that like a...
Yeah.
That was
Sure
a
we
thing
did.
at some point.
I'm sure we did. Many years
2020,
ago.
maybe?
Probably. A lot of brain fog between then and now, Addy. A lot of brain fog. Bobo, who do you want to talk about from this little group?
I want to ask you a question.
Okay, ask away.
Week 1.
Okay,
I don't know who the Chargers are playing. Who is their LB1?
I think it's Junior Colson.
You think the start of the season
I think
is
it
Junior
is.
Colson?
Yes, I really do.
Interesting. Was he dealing with a hammy thing?
He's got some type of, soft tissue thing going on.
Which is not great for starting the season.
But you're going against Denzel Perryman. So is Perryman healthy right now?
You do wonder, though, if, like, Harbaugh is, like,
Yeah.
wants us to have, like, a message type thing for,
Yeah.
he's
I'm
a
not going to
rookie.
start the guy just
Right.
because he came from Michigan.
Exactly.
I could see that. Yes.
And then he'll fold him in as the season goes on.
I just
It'll
think
be
if
his
it's
guy.
if both guys are healthy, I
Well,
don't.
hold on. There's another guy, Joshua
And it is.
Dayon Henley.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Josh.
just think that's wishful thinking. Now, it would be sick if it was like Junior Colson and Dayon Henley as the
That'd be
top two
awesome.
guys. That'd
Be
be a
very cool.
lot of fun. But I'm just going to bank on, it may not be week 1. That may be wishful thinking. But I'm going to bank on Junior Colson as the leading snap getter in 2024 for the Los Angeles Chargers, even if it is week 2, week 3 when Harbaugh starts to fold him in because Perryman's tweaked a hamstring in the second quarter of the opener.
I got you.
You know?
Yeah, in the best balls, it's kind of a team that I want to avoid because it feels like you're just setting, like, kind of like we were just talking about Jacksonville, Devin Lloyd. With the ADP, I don't know where exactly some of
Probably
these guys
too
are
high.
at.
Probably in the 30-40 range, I'd say.
Yeah, Junior Colson is LB 42. Going is 106.7.
You can get more sure things there.
Yeah, no thank you.
Yeah, that's what, like
May work out.
10th pick of the
Yeah.
9th round or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about real quick because we skipped over Edgerrin Cooper earlier, who Adam has Edgerrin Cooper at like 2021.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true. We
he's-
did skip over him.
22. And then we have Quay Walker. And I wanted to kind of ask,
There's a lot of duos on this list.
yeah, Quay Walker right now is at 14, 24.2 years old. But I have to think we have no way of knowing at the IDPshow.com where Quay Walker, the heights of Quay Walker, where Quay got to. But I have to feel like he was probably sniffing that LB6 category.
Oh man, we talked about it I think last year on the show quite a bit. I was thinking if Quay balled out, like he would be considered like a top 3 linebacker.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, he was kind of on that pace. He got hurt and it kind of derailed the second half of the season.
16.03 points per game.
Right.
One thing
So-
Really, really good.
I was thinking about that. I don't know if this was a mower thought. Maybe it was like a
Come on now.
shower thought or something.
Yeah,
but
I love that.
I was thinking we should probably give Quay Walker a little more grace because I think much like Zaire Franklin, he was banged up last year. And I'm just willing to give these guys a little more leeway if they were dealing with injuries. And, you know, there's a lot of pressure to get back on the field. That's, you know, a team pushing for the playoffs. Like, I get it. You know, I know Von Miller was out there at his pass rushing camp saying, I shouldn't have been out there last season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure that's the case for a lot of these guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking the other day, a friend of mine sent me a GIF or a meme. I don't know. I'm too old to understand
GIFs
what the difference
move.
between those. Nah,
Memes are
I
static.
don't care. I don't care. I don't want to know.
I'm gonna learn.
It was two like talking heads yelling at each other about the political candidates running for the presidency.
Yes, this is a
Neither of
meme.
whom I even want to say their name. And then there was
Like it's
another
Voldemort.
there was another third head that just had like a little thought bubble, basically saying like, I wonder what the presence of Braden Fisk is going to do to the the IDP value of Kobe Turner this year. That I don't know. I just felt like that was me. Your shower thought made me think like a lot of times I do that. It's not just my thoughts. Like I'll catch myself doing the dishes and be like, man, TJ Edwards was really good last year.
I was like in the shower, like, yeah, Quay Walker probably deserves a little more grace because the dude was good to start the season. And I think
he's young, man.
Yeah, I think we've really.
Josh starts sending his shower thoughts out with pictures.
Yeah, that would not
They
be good.
got Quay Walker in the shower.
Yeah, well,
What's going on?
It's like the account that tries food in the shower. Have y'all seen this on Twitter?
No.
The person that eats in the shower and then rates it based on how good it is.
I love that.
I don't know if I like that.
Love
Yeah,
that.
I'm down with a good
That
beer
reminds
shower.
me of the
he does
beer in
do-
the shower's good. The Seinfeld episode where he Kramer puts the garbage disposal in and
Yes.
he's like making the salad in there, rosettes
So,
and everything.
There's a Seinfeld episode for everything, folks.
Calls Jerry, oh, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think we've vacillated a lot on Quay Walker. Just like he's great, he's overrated, and I think we're kind of swinging back into sort of like a middle of the road opinion on Quay, which is like he's young. Let's just wait and see what's going to happen with Quay.
We have to hope he doesn't finish like Devin White finished in Tampa
Yes.
Bay, right? That's the concern with Quay Walker because then that hurts his next stop potentially, like we saw with Devin White.
Yeah.
But I still think I think that Green Bay told you I don't think we're going to pay Quay Walker a bunch of money when his contract's due.
Yeah.
But I do think that Quay Walker is going to get a second spot somewhere, like
I think
a second contract.
It's the Patrick Queen corollary for me, where
Jordan
it's like,
Brooks, same stuff.
you know, Patrick Queen had a great end to his time there in Baltimore. He was
Right.
really solid those last 2 seasons when Roquan came in.
Yeah.
And, improved pretty much every year, and he still ends up on a new team. He still walks to go to a division rival. So, I think both
First round capital, SEC school.
Yep.
Right. Same thing with Quay Walker. First
great
round
pedigree,
capital.
9.65
Georgia.
RAS. Both things can be true, that Quay Walker can be very good in the short term for IDP and for Green Bay, and Green Bay still cuts them loose.
Yeah.
Based on what they've done with their draft picks.
Eerily similar to Nakobe Dean. Obviously, Quay Walker has seen much more playing time, but Nakobe Dean. Well, actually, he was a third-round draft pick, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But didn't he play at Georgia?
Yeah.
Was he hurt?
Yes, he was hurt coming in.
So
That's why everyone loves Nakobe Dean,
Yeah,
right? Because he was. Everyone thought he was going to go higher than the third
SEC,
round,
yeah.
right? Same stuff. He was everyone's LB1 pre-draft.
Does Isaiah McDuffie not worry you at all for this year? Do y'all
For this year, yes, I think it will be Quay Walker and Isaiah McDuffie. I don't know how much Edge Cooper is going to see the field.
Right. Yeah.
But for Dynasty, I mean,
Have you boys taken any Edge Cooper in your rookie drafts?
I haven't.
I have not. I was on the clock I was lined up to take Junior Colson in our main league and got sniped 1 pick before.
I have taken some Junior Colson. I was able to get him in the third round. I'm not spending a second round pick on any.
If
of these
Edge
linebackers.
Cooper's going in the second,
Nope.
no thank you.
and that's where he's going.
I think Junior Colson was sitting there at like 307, 306 range, like middle of the third.
And a lot of times, Edgerrin Cooper was going over like Dallas Turner,
Yeah, no thank you.
Latu, Verse.
He did in our league.
Yeah.
He went, I think, ahead of the major edge rushers. I think Dallas Turner went first, but I'm almost certain Edge Cooper went before Latu and Jared Verse,
Probably so.
which is crazy to me.
So my heavy rookie draft, I did not draft a lot of Edgerrin Cooper. I did get a couple of the edges. I got Jared Verse, I've got Latu, and I got Turner, which is comedy.
I got them all three as well.
But I don't
I don't
know.
discriminate, baby.
Oh yeah,
Love them all.
but I did get Isaiah McDuffie in the 12th round right there. Went McDuffie, Willie Gay, Leo Chenal, and Odafe Owe, odd enough. But
Pretty good.
yeah, I mean,
stretch.
I like McDuffie in the 12th. I really think that, like, as far as dart throws go, that feels way more in line with me as opposed to Devin Lloyd as the LB, like 24. Let me throw a dart on Isaiah McDuffie playing, higher than 70% of the snaps, kind of like Ernest Jones, honestly, a couple years ago. And honestly, when McDuffie sees the field, he's pretty productive.
The contingent upside with him, I mean, that's an LB1,
Yep.
100% of snaps guy if
Yeah,
Quay Walker
because-
goes down.
Well, honestly, goes down, or like Adam's exactly right. I mean, 2022, 52 overall PFF grade. It did get a little bit better last year, 60, but he did have a 52.6 grade in coverage. So, I mean, like, I don't think Quay Walker gets benched this year, but
It's an important year for him.
yeah, I mean, there is kind
Yeah,
of that.
There's a lot of depth there.
Yeah.
And it's solid depth.
Yeah.
It's more depth than has been there previously.
Yes.
So there's a lot more pressure on Quay Walker.
Right. That was like the past 3-4 years, like that's been like a
Been him.
nobody in that room.
Him and your boy. Who didn't
Well, they
play
had
last
Blake
year.
Martinez for a little bit there. Remember, like
Oh,
those
yeah.
days, and that was always just Blake Martinez
Martinez,
and
yeah.
no one else.
Yep.
Yep.
So
I
Yeah.
will say
Throwback.
the
a lot of throwbacks tonight. Shout out.
Yeah.
we talk about, if you listen to like best ball podcasts, you'll hear the phrase better in best ball for certain players. And Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is absolutely that for me because I'd much rather have Jordan Hicks in rostered leagues.
Yeah.
But for best ball, I mean, JOK is going to be one of my most drafted players.
So you trading JOK in Dynasty?
I just think he's going to be frustrating to roster and start week in and week out.
He has been for basically the longevity of his career so far.
I mean, he only played
Been up and down.
76% of snaps last season. So,
Yeah.
early in the season, it was still, I think, up and down. Late in the season, came on strong. But kind of like Bernard, I'm on the side, that's a little more skeptical with JOK in terms of like, I don't know that I want to bank on this guy as my LB1 or LB2 for rostered, managed leagues. But best ball, sign me up all day, baby. 'Cause I
JOK,
think we
what's
have
he
that boom
fetch?
potential.
Second?
A second.
Yeah.
I would think. Right.
You cashing out for a second, Joshy?
Yes, I would cash out for a second, for sure.
I probably would too.
I think I would as well.
Yeah, and I like JOK a lot. I just don't know that I want to have this guy.
Yeah, and
have
also-
have the headache of figuring out when to start him.
Little undersized.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So I mean, those guys sometimes don't age well.
Yep.
I'm thinking about like Deion Jones. There was a stretch there where Deion Jones looked like he was going to be one of the best linebackers in the league, and then
Boy,
just
talk about falling off a
started
cliff.
getting kind of banged up, and it just ruined him.
I saw where, speaking of banged up and it ruined him, Shaq Leonard was talking about he's just waiting to sign somewhere, but he's at peace with what has happened with his career. I was like,
Yeah.
so he's just,
Yeah.
it's over. It's Jover.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
It's been.
it's been Jover
It's truly
for a while.
been. Yeah. People have just been trying to.
Hold on to
Surely
hope.
it ain't, right?
I mean, he's
No,
sitting
it's
there
over.
in round 30, round 31 of
Yeah.
these best ball drafts. I'm like, maybe. But after seeing that quote, I'm like, oh, you're at peace with your career. It is.
Yeah.
It's donezo.
JOK.
Like, I think he could resign. He could sign somewhere, but it's like Deion Jones last season. Like, no, thank you.
6'1", 221.
That's small.
Yeah.
Pretty small.
That's not big.
Tweener type. So, yeah, I'm okay cashing out.
It makes him very good in terms of that rangy sideline to sideline playmaker type.
Yeah.
He had. I'm looking at.
He hits hard too.
Yeah, he had. Let's see,
He's
Jeremiah.
a fun player. He's a good
20,
player.
20 TFLs, 2 INTs, 3.5 sacks, 6 PDs, a forced fumble, 5 QB hits.
How many tackles?
101 tackles. You compare
And
that.
how many games?
He was 16 games played, 13 games started.
Yes, I mean you do want better tackle numbers.
Yeah.
you know?
So that's the thing is, I think the big play boom potential is there, but weekly floor,
Right. That
not
can
there.
be tough to bank on week to week.
People love JOK right now.
Yeah.
I don't know
He's
if it was
hot.
that finish or what it was, but
I think
He
it
was
was. I
awesome.
think it was the finish.
He was awesome at the end.
He
of
was
the
the
year.
number one linebacker.
And I think he had a good playoffs too.
yeah,
right?
playoffs help. You
Yeah.
get to watch that
He was
linebacker in the
electric.
playoffs.
He was electric. in the
Christian Harris
playoffs.
was great too. I
Oh,
liked
yeah.
him.
Yeah.
I think he was the highest scoring IDP in week 1 of the playoffs. I think he was 30.
Christian Harris?
I think he was 35 plus points.
He had a sack in the second game, I remember.
He was nutso that first week, dude.
He had 10 tackles that first week, if I'm remembering right.
I really do think he was the top scoring IDP, but he had a great playoffs. But speaking of the Texans, let's go to Azeez Al-Shaair here at number 11, 26.9 years old, finished 2023 as the LB20, 13.5 points per game. He's going as LB16 right now. Frankie Luvu, number 10, Washington Commanders, 27.8 years old, finished as LB17, 12.3 points per game, going as LB15. Zaire Franklin at number 9, Indianapolis Colts, 28 years old, 15.2 points per game, finished as the LB14. Got banged up, started the season just out the gates in Fuego, 18.09 points per game. Back half of the season, 12.28. So LB14 finished going as LB7. Jack Campbell sits here at number 8. Detroit Lions, 23.9 years old. Finished as LB55, 7.7 points per game, going as LB28. Folks, what are we doing here for these best ball leagues?
Yikes.
Let's pause here at number 7. Nick Bolton, Kansas City Chiefs, 24.3 years old, 10.9 points per game, finished as LB74, going as LB6.
Bobby,
So
does that ranking get your blessing?
yes, number 7 for Nick Bolton. How you feeling about that, Bobo?
Can I give him a couple more? Oh, we won't talk about him yet. I do have Ernest in XFL. We have Ernest here in a second. I got Bobby O from Joshy here at 6. And then I've got Bolton here at 7.
Pretty good.
I think that feels about right.
it's-
Looking at the guys ahead of him, I would not have Bolton ahead of any
Now,
of those guys.
you probably would have him ahead of Patrick Queen, who I have him high. I have him high.
Probably.
4, I think.
yes, you do.
Honestly, I mean, like, dude, I'm so happy we're sitting in a world where Ernest Jones is a top 5 dynasty linebacker.
That's a good world.
It's a world I want to live in. Bobby Okereke is awesome. We're not going to talk about that. But, yeah, Nick Bolton, this is fine. This is fine.
This is where, I mean, coming off a down year, this is, I think, still.
8 games played last season.
And you always say you factor in the market as well.
Sure. This is showing
and
respect
the
to the market. No
market
doubt about it.
loves Nick Bolton.
They
What's the
love Nick
ADP
Bolton.
right now?
Again, I would love to have Nick Bolton, to sell Nick Bolton.
LB6.
Right?
Yeah,
That's rich.
I've got somebody in XFL that's kind of been sniffing, and it kind of makes me think it might be sell time. Might be sell time.
Yeah, depends on who's sniffing.
Yeah, that's
Is it
exactly
Macri
right.
sniffing?
It's not Macri sniffing.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
we're good.
getting rid of
John,
If Macri's sniffing, you need to hold him.
Yeah, that's
Because I don't
true.
want to sell Macri anything he
true.
wants.
Yeah, it's but it is one of those ones where I was offered the 112 last year for Bolton,
Oh, man.
and
You got some.
I didn't
Old man
decline
filled with
it.
regret.
I didn't decline it. It was withdrawn before I could do anything to it. So, but
It
was
became a package with 14 players
exactly.
involved.
There you
in
go.
picks.
There you go.
It was a massive trade.
But no, Bolton is 24 years old, which is still young, going into his 4th year. 2-time Super Bowl winner. I am thankful that Adam didn't put him outside the top 10 because honestly, with the season that he had in 23, I mean, you're splitting hairs a little bit there, moving him back 3 or 4 spots. But I would get it. I could see a case for any of these other guys ahead of Nick Bolton, especially if we get 8 games into 2024 and it's not great. If all of a sudden Tranquil, Leo Chenal, who I think people need to talk more about Leo Chenal.
Me too.
Chenal, Chenal's a free agent in XFL. I've been paying attention to that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for when he's a free agent in
Yeah.
real NFL.
Yeah.
Real NFL, yeah.
Or they just get rid of Bolton and
Yeah.
they let Chenal do his thing.
Yeah.
Because I think
Tranquil.
that dude is potentially a stud.
I need somebody who understands NFL cap to tell me, like, are the Chiefs going to keep Bolton or are they going to move on from
I think
him?
they're going to get rid of
I
him.
think they're going to let him walk. I see it a lot like Quay Walker. Banged up last year. The moves indicate that they have really no indication of keeping this guy.
Yeah.
And it's a big year for Nick Bolton.
Well, and they have a lot of money to spend.
They need to re-up Pat again.
They got some guys that are going to cost a lot of money. Like Rashee Rice will be probably coming up at some point, you know.
Pacheco's not far off.
But they'll have a lot of those guys, like,
Chris
defenders. Trent McDuffie's going to be doing a massive extension. Like, they're going to have a lot of stuff.
They
Yeah,
just
I think
extended Chris Jones, so they got him under contract. They just extended Kelsey.
Karl Loftus is coming up in 2 years. So, I mean, they've
Yeah.
got to think about
They're-
that stuff. They'd
they're
rather
not-
have those types than
They just let
Bolton.
L'Jarius Sneed go to keep Chris Jones.
I just
Yeah.
think organizationally they might like Nick Bolton.
He was awesome in this one of the Super Bowls, right? I mean, that
yeah.
carries a little bit of weight.
He
I
wasn't
think.
great in the playoffs last year, though. I will
Terrible
say.
in the playoffs.
Yeah, he was
Like,
pretty bad.
Awful.
Yeah.
You look at the grades, like in the 30s, 40s, his last 3
I
games.
wish we
You
could
know
give
that-
these players truth serum and be like, how injured were you at
Right.
certain points in the season?
The number here that's the most worrying to me that I've never seen until tonight, the RAS,
yeah, not much.
4.81. I mean, shout out Mizzou. I know, Nick Bolton
Shout out Mizzou.
played in a, kind of, what is Missouri, small Pac-12? I
think they're SEC now.
SEC.
Are they?
Yeah, they're SEC.
I guess they have been. I watch a
There's
lot
like
of college
18, 20 teams that
it
are
doesn't
SEC
mean what it used
at
to.
this
Used
point.
to mean something.
Yeah.
Used to mean something in this country.
Speaking of America, damn it. Not
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
You got Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC.
They don't belong.
Doesn't make no damn sense.
No,
UK's always been there.
I'm fine with Bolton
So
there.
bad. One of the worst teams in the SEC in football.
Let's talk about
Basketball.
Basketball's great.
Zaire Franklin for a second.
Yes,
here
let's
as
do
the
it.
LB9, 28 years old, 3-year contract worth $31 million in 2024.
Kind of a nice little payday.
So your boy Zaire is there for at least the 2025 season, right? Then
I
they
would
maybe
think so.
have some
I
room to
would think
cut
so.
him.
Yep.
How confident are we in Zaire there, Joshy?
Very, very confident.
You're still, EJ Speed, I don't care. Let me have Zaire.
No, I'd much rather have EJ Speed at cost.
No, I don't want to talk about cost.
But
Let's just talk about one for one.
If you're looking at the outlook for 2024, I mean, I feel very confident. Look how well Zaire Franklin started the season last year.
But I'm saying
18 points per game.
there's a strong contingent that look at EJ Speed's finish to 2023 and think, let's go ahead and replicate that for the 2024 season. EJ Speed is going to be a better linebacker than Zaire. I think you're right. I think that
I'm not buying that.
I think a lot of the negativity towards Zaire is because of him playing banged up, and it made EJ Speed look a little bit better.
He was hurt.
I'm with you,
but
though.
it is. But people, they're seeing, hey, EJ Speed balling, Zaire not.
Zaire
The
falling.
math is mathing. Zaire sucks.
I would much rather have EJ Speed in these drafts. I mean, LB7 is a tad rich for Zaire Franklin, but
Yeah.
I have a lot of confidence in this guy, man. They brought him back. He had a 9.66 RAS, which I don't think I knew until
I know.
right here in this moment.
Wow.
And he still finished for as disappointing as he was as LB14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I know he was coasting a little bit off that start to the season, 18 points per game, but I think we could look up and week 4, first month of the season's wrapping up, Zaire Franklin's a top 3 or 4 linebacker.
On pace for 200 tackles.
Yes.
again. Right.
So I was dead wrong about Zaire Franklin last season. We thought he was a reach in these best ball drafts, and until he got hurt, he was looking like one of the smash picks from last year.
One of the most comical careers you'll ever see. 176 snaps in 2018, then 2 in 2019.
What was up with that? Must have gotten hurt.
86, 201 in 2021, but then went to 1,100 in 2022 and almost another 1,100 in 2023, going into his 7th season this year at 28 years old. And looks like a baller, man.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, I was also a little worried about Zaire. Like, I don't think I had him this high.
Yeah.
Probably like
Ever.
4 months ago.
Yeah.
But once he got that extension,
Yep.
I was like, all right,
We're good.
we're fine.
Lock
you
in.
got a bona fide LB1 here for the next. If
Yeah.
you're in a championship window the next 2-3 years, who cares?
It's
What,
tons-
what else are you looking for?
Tons of continuity as well. Gus
Right.
Bradley's still there.
Captain
EJ
Patch.
Speed is back. Captain
Oh,
Patch is
big
on the
deal.
chest. He's got his own
Let's see.
podcast now with EJ Speed.
I like that a lot.
So
Speed
loving
get
the
paid?
teammate combo. Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Yeah, EJ Speed and Zaire both are going to eat. But as far as the cost stuff, yeah, EJ Speed's one of the smash picks in IDP this year.
Dude, and the other thing,
Absolutely.
too, I wasn't thinking about until the other day is
LB37.
now Zaire's got a little bit of, hopefully Latu comes in and just smashes because they
I
have
think
really
he
had
will.
no edge presence at all outside of a random Samson Ebukam
I feel
pressure.
10 sacks out the gate for Latu.
Did you see what Quay said the other day? He's shooting
that?
for a 12 to 15 sack season.
Let's
For
just
pay?
maybe try to have like 6 or 7. Let's just shoot for maybe half that.
Love Quiddy.
I don't think they picked up his option, but I think it was 50-50. I think if you could give, get Ballard in a room and get him under oath, I think you would have said like, yeah, it was pretty much a coin flip if we were going to give this guy the 5th-year option. So I was of the mind like I'd be fine to let him walk. I don't know that I want to necessarily pay him whatever that rookie contract, the rookie option guarantees, which I think was north of $15 million a year.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Who knows, though, man? It could work out.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
Quiddy Pay, liked him when he came out. He did have some flashes. He just hasn't really been able to stay healthy there. I mean, if that stuff can
It can
turn
turn
in his
around.
favor.
There's just not been much there, man.
Y'all just haven't
It's
had
just not been much
But,
there.
I mean, he's got a really, really good supporting cast.
He
so-
does, and that's why I'm like, why has it not come together? I know the injuries have hurt, but you've got Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, you bring in Ebukam, you got Dio Dangbo, now you got Latu.
Yeah.
Like, if it doesn't happen this year and you're healthy,
That
I
is
don't know,
true.
man.
And it's like, what's that rotation look like? Because, I mean, Ebukam was really good last season.
I think it could very well be, as the season goes on, Latu and Ebukam as the 2 starters, with Quiddy Pay kind of mixing in as the third. Dio and Quiddy Pay mixing in as like maybe the relief guys.
Yeah, a good problem to have for the Colts.
It is,
But it could be frustrating for us.
Dio's cool because you can kind of move him inside too. Grover's, great inside alongside of DeForest Buckner. Y'all have if Latu is good, that could be a really good defensive line this year.
All right, while we're talking about defensive tackles, did you all see the picture of Tyree Wilson?
I sure did.
Boy's gotten big.
Wow.
Look at him
Boy's
arms.
gotten
He may
tough.
be exclusively a defensive tackle.
He very well might be.
I mean, Jesus.
Yeah.
But
It was like a whole different dude.
Shooting Malcolm Kuntz up the board.
I was gonna say that still is weird though, because you've got Christian Wilkins coming in on $100 million contract.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just I feel like he's gotten squeezed a little bit, and it's like, what do you do with this guy?
I think he's versatile. I think you can. I think it's cool. I mean, you got 4.
Oh, I think for NFL
Yeah.
purposes, it's great. I think
Kuntz
it
and
makes
Crosby.
a lot of sense
Yeah.
to want to move
But I
this
think
guy
all those
inside
guys.
and out.
I think all those guys can get over 50%.
Kuntz and
We'll see.
Crosby,
Attorneys at law.
Wilkins and hold on, Wilson, the 2 W's inside.
Bobo, I think, had a
C's
stroke there for a
outside.
second,
Sorry.
trying to work that out in his brain.
I went to just his picture in my head. I couldn't see his name. I was just seeing his freaking biceps. Dude, he got big.
He's huge.
He got big. Let's talk about Frankie Luvu real quick. Are y'all still like in?
Sure.
Yes.
You still feel confident?
Yeah, I think. I mean,
Very excited to see what he
tackle
does in
numbers
Washington.
are good enough, and then I mean, the big play upside at this point is kind of just who he is.
Let me ask you
Could
this.
could Dan Quinn use him like Micah Parsons
Yes,
type?
of course.
You know?
Quinn's gonna have a good time there in Washington. He's got a lot of fun pieces.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bobby Wagner, is he just going to do this forever?
Yes.
Like, is he ever going to regress?
Till the wheels fall off.
Probably not, right?
I think he will be one of the types that retires before it gets bad.
Yeah, we
before
won't see
before
him.
he breaks down.
Right.
I do.
Frankie Luvu.
Or the injury, like the next injury, he's probably done.
What's
Right?
the ADP for Luvu?
So Luvu
Still
is
pretty high.
LB 15. He was LB 17 last
I
year.
like
so
that, man.
right
That's not too bad.
around
Yeah.
around where he finished.
That's a great range for
Yep.
him.
I like his situation a lot better in Washington.
and especially in best ball, man.
10 TFLs,
Yes.
5.5 sacks last year.
there
I
may
don't-
be nobody with a higher kind of boom potential than Frankie Luvu for best ball.
Multiple 30-point weeks, like that's been the case for like the past 3 years.
Another guy, much like Zaire, 400 snaps in 2018, then 69, 257, 249 in 21, but then went to 941 snaps in 2022. Was that the guy that Wohlert was talking about a couple years ago in training camp?
Yes.
He came in and played the first down of preseason, and they were like, all right,
Yeah, I think he played
Seen
the
enough.
first
Yeah.
series, and then they put him in bubble wrap for the rest of the preseason.
that's crazy.
Yep. So I wanted to bring up the Texans linebackers. You have Azeez Al-Shaair here at number 11, and then we mentioned Christian Harris just a while ago, sitting at number 18. So how did you kind of tease these guys out? What was your thought process and how you split these guys?
Well, I mean, Azeez Al-Shaair, I love that he just got this massive deal, 3 years, $34 million, and I mean he's we've seen it more from him, right? Christian Harris, I mean, I do feel good about where he's headed, but there has been some scary moments.
He had
that-
one awful year and one really good year.
right, yeah, and that's just to be expected with these young guys, but. I don't know. They're both great assets. I'd love to have both of them. I love the fact that they're both there in Houston, getting coached up by D'Amico Ryans. I mean, one of the best linebacker coaches in the world. So, all good stuff. I mean, I think Al-Shaair is going to be a guy, similar to like Logan Wilson. We're talking about, until he's like 31, 32. Christian Harris is just a little more risky, I think, right? But
A little
yeah.
more unknown than Azeez Al-Shaair, which is funny because, I mean, I think up until last season, when he got his chance there in Tennessee, it was sort of an unknown quantity coming out of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And now he's established himself. I agree. I was thinking about him in exactly the same light as Logan Wilson, as like, this guy's going to be around for a long time.
You know who
Because I think
could-
he's a good linebacker.
who could look like this soon? Leo Chenal.
Yeah.
Very similar situation to where, he's third fiddle to these, Willie Gays, Nick Boltons, Drew Tranquil, not really being able to get on the field. But then all of a sudden then, when he has the opportunity in his 5th, 6th, 7th year in the NFL, then it's like, good God, 163 tackles, 9 TFLs, 2 sacks last year. You think Azeez Al-Shaair in 2024 could maybe see the tackles come down a little bit, but the big plays go up?
Yeah, I think so.
You think a little bit of Christian Harris soaking up some of those
I
tackles?
feel like he got maybe a little unlucky last year with the big plays. I feel like he's typically
Yeah.
a guy that gets more of that.
Yep.
It was more like just the production was.
163 tackles is nuts.
Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, he should still be, I think, in that range.
I think so, too.
I mean, that's
What's
yeah.
his ADP?
He's LB 16 right now.
That's
Finished
okay.
his LB 20.
yeah.
That's okay.
I like him in that range. He's
Yeah.
going in a lot.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be one of my most drafted players as well.
I was definitely drafting a lot more Azeez earlier in the offseason.
Oh, yes.
He's getting up there to like. I'm sure he's been drafted top 12 quite a bit.
He is jumped up from pre-draft 45.7 to 36.7, so jumped almost 10 spots.
Yeah.
So he is
That's right.
basically end of the third round pick, whereas he used to be, what is that, like the ninth pick of the fourth round now?
Yeah.
Before the draft. So
based on like the way all these linebackers that are in that range, I feel like the strategy is still get you a solid edge guy the first round, and then probably do it again in the second round.
I think so,
and
too.
then hammer linebackers.
those linebackers in that
Into oblivion.
3, 4, 5
rounds
range
3 through 8.
is beautiful.
All linebackers.
Very
18.
juicy. Go back and
Honestly,
watch
I mean,
the video that Addie and I
12,
did,
13
our
years ago
favorite
was-
picks from the first 10 rounds of best ball drafts.
Yeah.
A lot of linebackers.
Yeah.
Because there's just a lot of good values, man.
Yeah, and then just you get the Leonard Floyds, the Preston Smith, and
All the
those-
unsexy guys.
all those guys
later
in the rounds 10 plus Kyle Van Noy. Like
Get you the Van Bros, the Van Ginks, and the Van Noys.
we just got to learn how to draft. Sometimes it takes a little bit of practice.
Did I mention IDP drafts starting next
plug.
week? We're
Good
gonna have
plug.
a episode every week through the rest of the off season. Just really diving into IDP best ball, IDP drafts, just trying to get better collectively as a IDP populace at drafting.
I can tell
It's
you
the whole point of that show.
The groups that are participating in this show are damn good drafters, like drafters that annoy me to death.
Yes, you're gonna be very pissed off in this IDP madness mock that we've put
No
together.
doubt about it.
So, and that's going to be a fun episode set up, y'all. We've got 3 different teams of 4 analysts, all of whom have been drafting their asses off this offseason. So, like I mentioned, the first grouping, me, Evan, Eric, and DJ Keltown, and then
Some
we'll
decent
have
drafters.
another group for the middle
Baddest,
8
baddest
rounds.
boys on the planet. I put them up against anybody.
Truly,
anybody
I mean-
doing content. These boys will whip yo ass.
I picked the guys that have probably been in more drafts than anybody else for this first go round, and then the middle 8 rounds will be another group of 4 analysts who will be live on the clock drafting, taking you inside their thought process. The final 8 rounds will be another group of 4 as well. So should be a really fun exercise just to go through 8 rounds at a time of IDP madness and talk through our picks on the clock. So tune in for that show. I think it's going to be fun, and we're very, very bullish on the future of IDP best ball. We've got some combined offense and IDP best ball drafts that Professor IDP just launched.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
Those filled in about 2.5, 3 hours. So we're going to be launching some more here soon. So make sure you're subscribed to the site, theidpshow.com, if you want to jump in some of those.
I did love what Bob said about Leo Chenal.
Yeah.
Totally right, man. Some good linebacker coach is gonna go grab himself a Leo Chenal when he becomes available, and he's gonna ball out. And we're gonna look at him in the same light.
It's going to be the Azeez Al-Shaair career path. Like,
100%.
this guy was the third banana behind some good linebackers, and he never got his chance. Let me go get this guy. I think if I can plug him in, he's going to be a star.
And it even works sometimes for the number 2s. I mean, look at like Bobby Okereke, as we're about to talk about him here in just a second now. All of a sudden, he is a maniac, 149 tackles last season. He can kind of shine on his own, whereas he was behind Shaq Leonard kind of for a while.
He was
Oh,
like
yeah.
the LB3 there for a little bit.
and even
with,
Anthony Walker for a little
yeah.
bit was.
But Zaire Franklin was ahead of him too, Shaq Leonard. So he kind of bounced around. But yeah, I mean, you can see it from the LB2s, the LB3s. If they get their chance, I think he's going to follow a similar career path. So we talked about Jack Campbell a lot on the IDP trade show. I think we're all still excited about Jack Campbell, but just not as much for 2024. I mean, this is probably the most overdrafted linebacker in all of best ball right now.
Yeah, just hold strong because it could be another tough year for you. But I do think Jack Campbell eventually is going to have his moment. Same thing with Leo Chenal. I mean, just think of it in that same light. Like it is coming. I think at some point with Jack Campbell, because he was drafted in the first round, you expect it to be a lot earlier, but it doesn't work out like that all the time.
How are we to know that Alex Anzalone was going to be the Foye to Luacun for Jack Campbell, like with Devin Lloyd? So
Yeah, no way of knowing.
we had no way to know that.
I heard they're moving him to edge. So
Anzalone?
no,
Or Campbell?
Campbell. They don't have anybody else at edge.
Shoot,
They got Davenport.
no, Devin.
Oh,
no
well,
carb face.
Still don't have a whole lot.
Keep
there.
holding out hope, folks.
James Houston there, right?
Yeah.
What's he
James
going to do?
Houston, yeah,
No one's drafting him. No one's drafting that second or third
Talk
edge.
about just dead zone.
Yeah.
Just big old question mark, no thank you positions. Yeah.
Yeah.
The LB2 in Miami and the edge rusher opposite Aiden Hutchinson is
Even
just
their
like
D tackles there.
Yeah.
You know,
A limb.
Aleem McNeil, right?
Yeah.
I did draft him in one of these.
Ally McBeal.
Yeah.
Great
You
show.
love that show, didn't
I
you?
did. It was one of my favorites. Let's go top 6 linebackers for Dynasty Leagues in 2024.
Let's just call it a night, boys.
Yeah, I'm good.
Let's
They
go
don't
out,
care.
watch
They don't
some
care.
fireworks. You guys know who it is. Number 6 here, Bobby Okereke, New York Giants, 27.9 years old. Finished 2023 as the LB1, 17.2 points per game. Going as the LB4, number 5, Ernest Jones, Los Angeles Rams, 24.6 years old. Finished as the LB11, 16.6 points per game. Going as the LB5. Patrick Queen sitting at LB4. Pittsburgh Steelers, 24.9 years old. Finished as LB18. Going as the LB9. He scored 13.9 points per game. We've talked about the top 3 a lot. I think we actually mentioned who it was on the previous episode. Fred Warner sitting at number 3. San Francisco 49ers, 27.6 years old. LB4, 16.2 points per game. LB3 is where he's going in drafts right now. Foye Oluokun, 28.9 years old. LB2 finished last year, 17.1 points per game. Going as the LB1, and then Roquan Smith is king of the Dynasty Mountain right now, 27.3 years old. Finished as the LB16, 15 points per game, going as the LB2. So, Addy, let's just start there at the top. How did you decide between putting Foye at 1 or putting Roquan at 1? Was it just an age thing?
Coin flip. Just
Feels
a coin
like
flip.
it. Feels like it.
I mean, they're both awesome. I love them both.
28.9 versus 27.3.
Yeah, they're both awesome, man. I mean, I want both of them. I want all the guys on this. I really want the top 3.
The top 3 is pretty locked and loaded.
I do have some concerns, outside the top 3. Honestly, there's a little bit of worry with Patrick Queen, of course. We all know about that, and then Ernest Jones, like is you never know. I like him a lot right now. I think he's going to be an awesome asset to have right now. But I mean, is he actually good? I think we need we need a little bit more. I mean, he 440 snaps in 2021, 723 in 2022, and then last year, we got the 932, and grades were really good, 82.1 overall PFF grade, and then the production was fantastic. But still, right? It's we know how it goes. This linebacker position, we've been burned so many times. I'm not that worried about it. Clearly, he's number 5. I feel good about him, but I don't feel as confident as I do about Fred Warner, Foye, Roquan.
You also have to put someone at 4, 5, and 6.
Exactly right.
They've talked about it a lot on the Underdog Football Show that the second-round picks in best ball on their platform right now don't deserve to be second-round picks. A lot of guys that are being pushed up just because 12 players have to go in the second round. I would feel a lot better about all of these guys we just mentioned if it was, Roquan, Foye, Fred, big jump down to LB8 is the next one that you have to rank.
Right.
If we could just skip 4, 5, 6, and 7, I feel a lot better about this
I
list.
agree.
But pushing these guys up to 4, 5, and 6 just feels a little yucky because
you feel like you're not supposed to say anything negative about them, right?
Yeah.
Because they're so high. But I still don't feel great about them. I'm not going out and investing in any of these linebackers outside of the top 3.
There's a pretty wide gulf, I feel like, between the top 3 who just feel about as certain can be
right
in the NFL, and then 4, 5, and 6. Guys that we like a lot, but, I mean, it's debatable. I think you could poll 100 IDP managers, and you might get, legitimately 20 to 25 different answers of who is your LB4 for Dynasty.
Yeah.
Let me take you back to 2016.
Oh, let's go. 2016.
50,
We had just started our XFFL league.
55.4 PFF grade overall. 2017, 60.2. 2018, 66.0. 2019, 79.0. Played 1,000 snaps. Had 4 sacks, basically 140 tackles. I think was the LB1 on the season. Next year, the overall PFF grade went to a 46.3. Had a pass rush grade of 50 and a coverage grade of 48.5. This player was Corey Littleton.
Wow. Throwback.
So, I mean, like, this is a different situation because Corey Littleton was the LB1 in 2019. And I remember Josh vividly saying, like, he can't keep playing this good, can he? And he would do it another year, he'd get better. But then he just, like, you know, after his 4th year, went to a different team, got paid a little bit. Things just changed. And I'm not relating Corey Littleton to any of these players, but sometimes when they're on that mountain, you know, they don't always have to stay up there forever. Sometimes you're good and then you're not good.
The end can come quickly.
I don't think Ernest Jones is that player. I think Ernest Jones is a solid linebacker. I don't think we're ever going to see him be a top 3 linebacker in Dynasty. Top 5 might be the highest that we ever get to Ernest Jones.
This feels right.
This feels very safe. The finish for Ernest was awesome. 19.16 points per game is freaking, I mean, that's league winning.
That's league winning.
Yeah.
Yep.
But no, Adam's exactly right. I mean, Ernest Jones, could things change? Yeah, sure. Anything could change. If you're not Roquan or Fred or Foye, honestly. The one that I want to talk about is Pat Queen. Because maybe Pat Queen deserves to be here. You know I've been negative about Pat Queen. It's somebody that has burned me in the past, so it's hard for me to also, you know, turn around and come right back to him. 24.9 years old, but I mean, look at it from a PFF perspective. 2020, 29 points per game. He increased 29 PFF grade. Sorry, that'd be crazy.
That'd be like JJ Watt.
Yeah.
21 PFF grade of 43, then 70 and 22, and then 73 and 23.
Yep.
So let's give these guys a little bit of credit. Let's give these young guys a little bit of time. You know, this is not a run first league anymore. This is not just a let's just sit down and let's just wait for the back to come through, whatever gap he's going to come through. You know, this is a pretty intricate offense that a lot of these teams in the NFL run. They're asked to do a ton in coverage now, way more than they used to do. So let's just maybe sit back and say, Pat Queen, maybe you've learned. 2024 is going to be a big year of you showing us, are you going to be Corey Littleton? Are you going to regress and look terrible? Or are you actually going to show, no, I've grown a lot in the 4 years that I was in Baltimore. I understand from a financial perspective why they moved on from him, because now they have a cheaper Trenton Simpson.
Yeah.
And they have the best linebacker in the game. But I mean, like, you know, I probably hated on Pat Queen a little bit too much.
Well, here's what I would ask is you've got 3 guys here at 4, 5, and 6 that I think could all finish as the LB1 in 2024. I think all these guys in this range
Have the possibility.
have that in their kind of range of outcomes. So I'm curious, how did it break down for you? This is a dynasty show, but how did it break down for you on all these guys pretty close? Bobby Okereke's 3 years older, so maybe that's what put him at 6.
That was it. Yeah, 27.9. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, he's 3 years older than both Ernest Jones and Patrick Queen. So that was really it, man. You know, and we've seen Okereke struggle at times.
Yeah.
He didn't get the biggest deal, 4 years, $40 million. I don't know. It just feels like he's a candidate that could also burn out, you know, like we've seen so many times at linebacker. So
And that Giants team could suck.
they could suck. Yep, exactly. You got McFadden there. I mean, he could look better than Okereke, and they just decide like, what are we paying this guy top dollar for? Cut him loose. You know?
Yeah.
I think we talked about that when they gave him that deal, right? We were just a little skeptical. But he's definitely blown away all expectations. I mean, he was awesome last year, especially for IDP. Everyone knows that. But yeah, he's still 6.
Who's the competition for these 3 guys?
Yeah, Michael McFadden, and then Patrick Queen has Peyton Wilson and Landon Roberts, and
What about Ernest Jones? Is it
It's nothing.
yeah, he really does.
who even is the LB2 there?
Saw they brought back old John Johnson.
John
They
Johnson,
did.
the third's back.
Yeah. That's a weird move.
I don't like that.
I don't know what I think
I
about
don't
it
like
either.
that.
I don't.
I don't think he was great last year because I was ready for Cam Kinchins and my boy Quentin Lake.
I've been taking some Quentin Lake, baby.
Hey, you know where he could play?
Oh, baby, star.
Yeah, baby.
Oh yeah, I was.
What do you think about old Russ yeast infection?
Nah,
Nope.
Russ ain't it.
You like old Lake.
Honestly, as gross as it sounds, it might be like Michael Hoyk.
Do you know who it is on the R lads? It's Christian Roseboom,
Yeah.
Troy Reeder, Jacob Hummel,
Readers.
So Ernest Jones for me would be at 4. I've talked about that a little bit.
Tell me that, Josh. So you think that Ernest Jones, I think you're probably the most optimistic here of the three of us about Ernest Jones playing better this year than he did last year.
I just think he's young. He's ascending. He's on a good team. We saw the jump from 63.6 to 82.1 overall PFF grade on more snaps. I think that's very impressive. 24.6. Patrick Queen's 24.9. I agree. I think it's pretty close to a coin flip between those two guys for that 4th spot. But, if you want to go Queen, cool. I just think Ernest Jones is still ascending. I think that we may not have seen the best from Ernest Jones yet. And have we seen the best from Patrick Queen?
No, I don't think we have.
I think this will be a big year for what Patrick Queen's future looks like. He has all the opportunity right in front of him. What is he going to do? We saw what Ernest Jones did with his opportunity last year, and I'm excited to see what he does in year 2 as the kind of unquestioned LB1 for this Rams team.
Yeah, I gave a big, long Patrick Queen spill 2 episodes ago.
Yes, in the Best Ball favorite picks round by round episode.
Yeah. So, I mean, not much more to add. Go back and listen to that. But I think he's awesome. I do think, that's why he's here at 4. I do think he reaches another level. And like I mentioned on that episode, man, he's just, I think we're sleeping on just how good his situation has been since he's come into the league. I mean, getting to be a linebacker there in Baltimore, learning from Harbaugh and Roquan Smith, and now he gets to go to the Pittsburgh freaking Steelers and learn from Tomlin and get a chance to be his own dude there and be a leader of a defense. I mean, I think it's good stuff. And he's just 24.9, but he's had a lot of really good experience where Ernest Jones hadn't had that yet, right?
Yeah.
It's been limited. We've seen Ernest Jones ceiling though. I mean, and that's been awesome. But I just feel a little better about Patrick Queen. I like that he already got the bag. I think that he's going to get another bag after this one. Just a little more uncertainty with Ernest Jones. But again, these guys are 4 and 5. I mean, I feel awesome about them.
And also new DC for Ernest Jones this year. Raheem
That's
Morris
true as
is
well.
gone. Maybe a little bit of a new system. I'm not really familiar with this new DC yet. So yeah, you're right. A little bit of something different there for Ernest.
Yeah, I just wanted to look it up and see what the contracts are for each of these guys, because you look at the top 3 that we're talking about, and it's astronomical numbers compared to the rest of the list, because you look at Fred Warner signing a 5-year, $95.2 million deal in 2021.
And he's worth it.
He's probably underpaid at this point, honestly.
The years mean a lot, too, because a lot of these other guys you see are like 2, 3,
3 years.
maybe
Usually
4
3 years is kind of the sweet spot.
Yeah.
But
Fred Warner's such a massive win for this show.
Yeah.
Massive
Really is.
win.
Dad followed the show at one point.
Yeah. He did. But there was,
unfollowed.
the guy, pretty quickly. But I mean, there was, a lot of hate on Fred Warner out there in the Twitterverse. You know, this guy, he's never been better than the LB2.
He is now.
How you feeling now, big dog?
So Foye signed a 3-year, just $30 million extension with $23 million in guarantees in 2024. Earlier this offseason, he signed a 3-year extension worth just $10 million a year. And it seems a little light. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
kind of surprising he's not getting more than that. But yeah, Roquan 5 years, $100 million last year, so he's getting $20 million a year. Fred's getting pretty close to that at 5 years, $95. So,
my heart really wants to put Fred too, but I just can't. I mean, with Foye doing what he's doing, man.
Foye has a better case for 1 than Fred has for 2, I think.
Yeah,
I really do. Just because, like, you talk about now. Is Foye going to age like a Levante David, like a Bobby Wagner, do we think?
At this point, I kind of feel like he is going to. I think there was probably a year and a half or so ago, I was a little worried about him. Like when he first signed with Jacksonville, I think we were, probably same conversations about like when can Jacksonville get out of this deal? Because it was a big deal, I think.
It was a big deal,
right?
Yes.
But yeah, at this point, man, I think he's just good, and I think that the production is insane. Like it's crazy. And even if the play were to dip, like dumb GMs will look at that production and be like, well,
look at all those tackles. My God, I got to have that.
So I
Zach Cunningham.
think he'll just keep bouncing around. And also, I mean, if he keeps getting jobs, he's an elite tackler. Like,
Yeah.
I want that on my team.
He signed a 3-year, $45 million contract with Jacksonville, and then signed the 3-year extension. So homeboy's going to be there. Talk about security. Foye is not a UFA until 2028.
And Foye is, really part of the glow up. I know Jacksonville kind of underperformed last season, but I mean, compared to where they were as a franchise, like they really have blown up. Like, and Foye's been a big part of that with Trevor Lawrence and those guys. So
who's performed better along that defense? Him and Josh Allen,
right?
The,
It's
the heartbeat.
Yep.
Of that defense. So, well, there you go, folks. Top 24 Dynasty linebackers with Big Bob Spillane thrown in as an extra 25th name. Who is your Dynasty LB1? If you're watching on YouTube, drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear. Is there anyone you feel like we left off the list for the top 24?
A lot of
You made any LB trades lately or anything like that in this offseason?
Me and Bobo had the trade that he mentioned, which was, I think, Okereke and Cam Curl for Cooper Kupp. Was that right? Was that the deal?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was. I had a ton of cap. I knew the auction was going to be insane, and I was looking to cash out on Okereke, and I knew, being a Rams fan, that Bobo was going to be into Cam Curl. So it was just one of those things where I was like, I've got to get some offensive talent on this team. So Cooper Kupp's expiring, $30 million in 2024. So it's a bit of a unique trade, but
You got off a lot of money too.
And Puka.
Yeah,
I
Puka.
cleared like
you cleared a ton of cap with that
30,
trade.
probably
That's nice.
25.
Because
maybe.
Okereke is like, I think, 3 or 4 million, maybe
And
5 million.
I think
at
you're
most.
thinking what the trade was, you were looking at all the talent that was out there, and you're like, I don't even care.
Yeah,
I'll
replenish. Yeah, linebacker in the auction.
Everyone
Nope.
was spending big money.
I got some fine options.
blew
but
his wad on A.J. Brown.
yeah, got me an AJ
Look
Brown and
at
a
you.
Montez Sweat though. So
That'll do.
it ended up just fine.
Yeah,
But, I
yeah,
was
like
just like,
Singleton was 15 million. Every good linebacker
Yes.
was like 15 million.
was way too much. So, and it'll be fine. I'll probably do a
You'll
little linebacker shopping or find somebody off waivers.
Hey, that's how you live, baby.
Yeah,
That
I'd
makes
rather
you feel
have
alive
some
finding those
offensive
linebackers.
depth and guys I can start in. We've got 2 wide receiver starting spots. That's what I was having the conversation with Ringler of, like, we could potentially start 6 wide receivers on this squad.
That's what your boy does.
2 wide receivers and 4 in the flex, and at most you can start 4 linebackers.
Yep.
So I just want to have more options that I feel good about at wide receiver. I'll figure out linebacker. I'm not too worried.
Yep.
So
I have.
I had that. That was
me.
my.
You didn't have to deal with me on the waivers and Bobby on the waivers.
that's
Will you
true.
figure it out?
Hey, I just picked
We'll
up
see.
Aeneas Smith.
Hey, got EJ Speed if you need a linebacker.
I will be shopping
Hey,
most
go
likely.
get Leo Chenal. You're welcome.
Not this year.
I made a trade in Listener League yesterday.
Would y'all quit clicking your mouse? You're killing my mics
I
right
traded Christian Kirk. I traded
now. After
EJ
all the
Speed.
Kirk talk.
Traded Christian Kirk. Traded EJ Speed. Traded the 105. Monroe St. Brown.
That's pretty good.
Wow. Wait, what? You traded Kirk with 105 and what else?
EJ Speed.
EJ Speed. Now,
Is this
Amon-Ra-
super flex?
Amon-Ra needs to be paid this offseason. So, like, I'll have to extend
is this
him.
in RSL?
This is in Hunger Games?
Hunger
whatever,
Games.
Whatever we're calling this anymore.
Yeah, he's gonna need to be paid, but that's
Yeah.
you're signing up for that.
Smashing that.
We're all right.
So this is a 1 QB. So 105 is probably
Worthy,
Worthy.
Bowers, BTJ,
It's a terrible trade.
Trey Benson.
yeah. Give me
Bad
Amon-Ra.
trade, mate.
Yeah. Whoever made that
Amon-Ra.
trade, you should feel bad. We'll break it down on the
Who
next
made
trade
that
show.
one? What's his name?
Somebody new to the league, but I appreciate you joining.
Somebody new to the league.
There you go. Welcome.
Threw some names
Bobby
out,
just went
looking
in
for
and
picks.
pilfered them. Hey,
I'll take Amon-Ra.
What'd you think about Amon-Ra?
Hey.
Little trade.
Welcome, listener.
Sitting out on the mower, just putting the mower in park, just sitting there
Quite
typing on the
literally.
phone.
Quite literally.
I know this man. We've potted long enough. I know how his head works, how his brain works.
Hey, but let me ask you a question though. So, I almost called him Ernest.
Ernest.
Okereke, Ernest, and Bolton. Y'all are trading Bolton? Because I have
Of the
thought.
3, yeah.
I have thought of
just
those,
because the market values Bolton really highly.
I have thought of those 3 in XFL. Like it might be time to cash in on one of these guys, and I don't know what cash in would really mean in XFL because everybody's kind of getting savvy in there a little bit. But
Yeah, I feel like I would trade Bolton just because I don't want to miss out on Okereke's 2024. We just saw what he did last season.
LB1 finish.
Yeah, I feel like it's
pretty insane.
another type of finish like that's coming. Where Bolton, dude, he could be LB 30.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
you never know.
The
Yeah.
range of outcomes, I feel like, for Ernest Jones and Bobby Okereke are much tighter,
Yes.
assuming health. Whereas Nick Bolton, who knows?
Wide range.
You know, still has, I think, top-end finish in his range of outcomes, but it's a little wider, that band of outcomes
like I think
for him.
if you look at my best ball rankings, I don't think I have Bolton in the top 20. So I'm not a Bolton guy. I'm not. If you follow my ranks, you're not going to have any Nick Bolton.
The market loves him some Bolton, though. These are
do.
the top, let's see. They go pretty much in order of where they're ranked right here. Patrick Queen is LB9. Ernest Jones is LB5. Let's see. Bobby Okereke is LB4, and Nick Bolton is LB6.
Wow.
So,
180 combined tackles in 2022, 2 sacks and 2 interceptions for Nick Bolton. That's what people can't look away from.
Yep.
So
So it's an awesome year.
Yeah.
if you can cash out on the hope, then that's what I like to do. Because that's what you're cashing out on, or wanting to buy is just hope that it can return. With Okereke and with Ernest Jones, we've seen it as recently as last year, top shelf production. So I want to hold on to those guys if I'm trying to contend for
I feel like
2024.
people are going to be trying to buy low on Bolton, though. You know,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think you're not going to get the offers
Exactly.
that you get for like. Well, I mean, I don't know. Okereke, people might be a little skittish on him.
Did you
played-
get many offers?
I bet you did.
Yeah, I think I got.
Well, because you initially said like I just want like a third or something, and so like I
I had an offer from you, and then I think you two, were the only offers that I had out there.
That makes sense.
And I was just really looking for that offensive piece. That's what I was trying to cash out for.
I almost made a massive mistake. Accidentally fat fingered Rashid.
Rashid Shaheed. I was like,
Good
hey,
call. Good
I
call.
like that trade.
Send him on.
You're like, that was a mistake. I was like, all right, well, let's make this happen.
He averaged like 15 points per game in that league, man.
Did he really?
He's awesome in return yard leagues.
Wow.
Yeah.
He'll be slept on in like all the best ball drafts we do. You know, because we use big three scoring, so we use return yards
From everything I can tell, this season could get bonkers.
for returns.
Yes.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Especially with those kickoffs. You know, so
Yeah.
like offensively, we probably won't talk about some of those like Shaheed guys, but some of the defensive guys, I don't know. Didn't McDaniel say the other day that every head coach is going to have to, like week 2, they're going to be dealing with every diva wide receiver is going to be begging them to like do kick returns.
Yeah, which I hope that doesn't happen. That could.
That would be
Yeah.
a little scary. I don't know that I
CeeDee Lamb
want
weaving through.
Tyreek Hill back there returning kicks. We don't
do
need
ya?
that.
That would be sick, though. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be kind of fun, but until he
Or
gets
J.J.
absolutely
Watt, maybe.
decleated
Never
and his
done that.
helmet flies off with his head inside of it.
Max Crosby. I saw where Max Crosby was saying he's going to put
Yeah.
everything he's gotten this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to prove that
It's
he
like,
deserves.
dude, what were you doing last year?
Yeah, he wants to prove he deserves to be GM of that team like he essentially is at this point.
Yeah.
Max has been talking a lot this offseason.
Yeah, he has.
Need to just maybe cool it a little bit.
Yep.
I did see where Malik Hooker called out Micah Parsons for having a podcast. Did y'all
Wow.
see this? He
No.
called him out for having a podcast on a
Oh,
podcast.
nice.
It's like, Malik Hooker, shut up.
Yeah.
Just shut up.
Who?
Yeah, for real. What are you doing?
Micah Parsons like, bro, we're locker
last name's
mates.
Hooker, dude.
Just come talk to me if you want to bring this up. Why you blasted me on a podcast about having a podcast?
I did think the little draft episode with him and CJ Stroud was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool to watch.
That it's fun to see these guys because what I think we're going to be the beneficiaries of this in that whether it's media opportunities,
Yeah.
booth opportunities, like this next generation is getting this media training right now,
Yeah.
and they're doing so in a way that's going to let them come in and be very good in a booth right away.
It's also interesting to see like what the common person wants to digest. How they want to take in their news, games. Like it's like Joe Tessitore or whatever, whoever you like in the booth on a Monday night. All right, yeah, that's great. I want to watch and listen to Peyton and Eli. Like I just want to hear what they have to say. You know, we're just a little bit different than like my dad probably just wants to sit down and hear Troy Aikman and Joe Buck talk about the same things they talk about every single Monday night.
Talk about Joe Buck's dad. All right.
My dad.
Tell more stories about your dad, Joe.
Troy's like, when I played, I actually don't remember much because I took a lot of blows to the head, Joe. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of admiration for guys who do, color commentary and play-by-play. It's a very hard job. And you notice it when it's done poorly because you watch like that, I think it was, Al Michaels and Tony Dungy in some kind of booth for like the Chargers-Jags game that was that massive comeback. And it had the energy of like a funeral service. And it was, so when you have a bad booth, you feel it.
Yeah.
And it can ruin the atmosphere of a big game. So
Fine line. It's like that energy or like the Gus Johnson energy.
Yes,
right?
or the Tony Romo. I don't know, Jim.
Man, he's gotten...
His gimmick has worn thin pretty quickly.
It's enough of him.
Yeah, we've had enough of Romo.
Guessing
telling the plays. Like, come on, dog.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how Tom Brady did. I think the folks who watched him in the second half of the UFL championship game said that he did pretty well.
I'm sure it'll be awesome.
He'll be in the Fox #1 booth with Kevin Burkhardt. I'm a little sad because Greg Olson was very good in that job.
Yeah.
But I think Brady could be very good as well.
Don't be sad for Greg. It was like he had a really good time at the wedding this
He
last
did.
weekend.
He was trashed, wasn't he, at CMC's wedding? Good for you, Greg. So, anyways, thank you all for listening. Next week in this feed, we will have a very special episode for you all. Jay Sabby will be on with Mike Wollert talking about the all-opportunity team. We did this episode last year with Jake and Evan. Basically stinky but startable guys that are not sexy at all, but they're going to have all the opportunity in the world, and they should be on your IDP rosters, especially if you're bargain bin shopping. And like we said, Tuesday night around 8:30 p.m. Central, we will be going live for episode 1 of IDP Drafts. That show will also have its own podcast feed, so we'll tweet out the link to that. So if you want to watch it, if you want to listen to it, like I said, we'll be doing episodes every week for the rest of the off season, looking at different best ball topics, including some offense and IDP best ball with Professor IDP. So make sure you check that show out. We think you guys are going to like it. But until next week with IDP Drafts and the All Opportunity team, y'all take care, and we'll see you soon.
It's the